Hello, and thanks for checking out this quick tutorial on how to use the After Effects plugin Nodes to quickly and easily create bar graphs. The technique is going to use the even-odd indices functionality within Nodes to achieve the effect that I have pulled up here. Let's get things kicked off by jumping into After Effects. We'll create an HD comp, then right-click, New, Solid. Let's name that Nodes. Jump into Effects and Presets, Yano Box, Nodes 3, and drop that onto our solid. So before we get started with the bar graph creation, I thought it might be useful to very quickly visually demonstrate indices functionality within Nodes, since those indices are going to play a big role in the creation of our graph. I'm going to turn on the background here to make things a little easier to see. Now I'm going to apply a preset that I created prior to recording that simply gives us 20 large points around a circle form. You can save and recall custom presets here. So the key to this is that each point within Nodes is identified by an index number. To illustrate that, I turn on text, then jump down to the text parameters. I set my text source to index start at 0. And after adjusting the alignment and size just a bit, you can now see the index number for each point. You can use the align even odd feature to achieve some interesting effects. I'll show you quickly here. If I pull the form's inner offset down just a bit, then click on Align Even Odd, you can start to get a picture of how this feature works and will prove useful in creating our graph. So that was a little behind the scenes as far as the functionality. Now let's create a bar graph. To create our bar graph, we are going to use the oscillator feature on a grid form. So Form, Grid. Let's set the X count to 100 and knock the Y down to 1. Now, if we set the size represents to extent, we can easily control the width of our element by dragging the size X parameter. Now jump up to the oscillator, set that to random, and the oscillator axis to Y. The amplitude will now control the spread, and you can set the direction of that here. I'm going to go with positive. If we now turn on lines, we are already starting to see the graph take shape. Then, by toggling on Skip Even Indices, you can see that it does exactly as it says. It skips every other indice. Incidentally, this feature works on any type of connection within Nodes. Now to really start to bring it to life, jump down to Connections and check out the Loop Step feature. Its default is 1, which connects each point to the next. Experimenting with this can produce some pretty interesting effects depending on what your project calls for, but in this case we can choose 2, which connects each point to the one above it. Then back up to Align Even Odd under Form, just like before. We click that and they align themselves up, which is exactly the effect that we're going for. You can now increase the number of data points on the graph by simply increasing the nodes count on the x-axis. Then add some procedural animation by adding Oscillator Evolution into the first destination slot under Animation. Don't forget to choose a speed. I seem to forget that every single time. We can continue customizing by jumping into the Nodes Size mode dropdown under Node Size and set that to Modulate. With it set to 2, that will apply one size to the odd indices and another size to the even, which can be adjusted by tweaking node size and secondary size. Let's quickly add a little color under Nodes Color. Choose your primary with the picker and set the color mode to complementary, with the color gap function allowing you to dial in a secondary color. Continuing to customize under Nodes, you can change your points to square rather than round if that is the look you're going for. Let's leave ours as circles. And for a more classic bar graph look, under Lines, increase the thickness for that classic look. Finally, if you've decided a radial graph will work better than a bar graph for your project, all the heavy lifting has already been done, so you can convert it with just a couple of quick steps. Under Form, choose Circle, and under the oscillator axis, choose Radial. Bump up the nodes count to fill it in. experimenting with this technique and compositing it with other instances of nodes can quickly and easily lead to some very nice results. Also, if you are just starting out with nodes, make sure to check out the massive presets library. All of these presets are infinitely customizable and a great place to get started. If this is your first time hearing about the YanoBox Nodes plugin, head over to yanobox.com and there's a lot of good information to be found there, including a fully functional free trial version you can try before buying.